on. He's been on before, podcaster. This is a brilliant, knowledgeable brother. His platform, he's got a huge following. You need to follow him on hash citizens AY. Allow me to introduce Ayo Oguduma. How you doing, my brother?
Thank you very much, James Diboe. Welcome on board, and thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate you. The work we do here, and first of all, I always people to know quite how um, um, big the work that you've been doing. You've interviewed
Jeez.
people like Runoko Rashidi, the late Runoko Rashidi. That
Yeah,
is a guy that is he's a great historian, and he researched our whole story. He's interviewed many other people, and it's actually brought him to the UK and many others as well. And he's been going to many parts of the world. James Diboe is someone I really admire with a passion and commitment to the struggle, reaching and connecting with indigenous people. And guess what? We've come full circle. The whole world now realizes that we Africans, we are the people of this planet. I don't say that to exclude anybody else. The first people of this planet are Africans. End of story. Everywhere you go,
100%.
on
Yeah,
everywhere, on every part of this planet, the first people are black people, and
that's
that
it.
is what is being realized. So the work that you've been doing, the task you've taken on, the huge task, going to places like in Indonesia, going to the Hawaii, going to all of these places that you've gone to, going to the all of the islands um,
Pacific and
Pacific and
these
all of that.
places.
These
Yeah.
are it is very very necessary because we
Yeah.
can connect the dots. Because a lot of people now on the African Americans are now realizing, hang on, we are the same people. I mean, in
Yeah.
Hawaii, there are black people. The last queen of Hawaii was a black woman. The
That's
last
it. Yeah.
queen of Hawaii. So that tells you something. They didn't just arrive by accident. It wasn't just taken from here. We were there. We are people of this planet, period. So,
This is it. This is what it's about. AO, it's connecting to the melanated world. And you see, when we start from the beginning, we recognize Africa, the birthplace of all humanity and civilization. Let's not forget about that. So if we look at just Africa, first of all, before we even move across the world,
mhm,
let's look at, for example, what they call sub-Saharan Africa, first of all. We didn't make up that name. This is
no.
given to us,
Mhm,
so we look at, say, North Africa now. Now, this North Africa is what they say above the Sahara. So, okay, now. Now, if you look at, like, we don't have a map of Africa right now, but if we look to analyze North Africa now,
yeah.
there is still indigenous peoples, Africans, that are there
Yeah.
prior to the Arabs and the rest of those people that came in the Europeans. Whether or not they are pushed to the south, because if you look at the borders, these thing borders when the Europeans carved Africa up and then said, we're gonna. And the weird thing about it is, for example, you look at some places where, if you look at language, for example, now it is what's so important now,
Yeah.
language and culture.
Mm.
So say like a part where Kenya is now, for
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
and you have Ethiopia and they
Yeah.
border one another. Now,
Yeah.
the people in the south of Ethiopia, the
Mhm.
Omotic,
Mhm.
they speak the same language as the people in northern Kenya. So straight
You've
away,
got it.
you've cut us off now. So everyone agreeing with borders, this is something that we have to totally dismiss. You know, if people are speaking Yoruba in other areas, even outside of Nigeria, there shouldn't be no split because
Sure.
these people are your people. They speak the same language, share your culture, share traditions, oral history, etc., etc. So now we're looking at North Africa now. Going to Egypt myself, for example, now we go to the south, we see them as one. I went into the Nubian village, they're still there. Now, what's happened basically is because you've got a mind similar to mine where you're able to put the connection together. So if you're in Cairo, for example, the more north you go, now you see the more paler, more like Arabs, Turks, and whatever. So now, if you used to speak to these people, Now, it's only the fact that there might be a few who be honest about it, but the majority want to claim it for themselves. So they'll say, for example, like those Nubians are they were separate from what we call Kemet, So and it's you see, if you don't know your history, they can fool you.
That's it.
And
That's
there's a
it.
lot of people who can be fooled who don't know the history.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to brothers about Sudan, for example. They've got part identity crisis, some part like, Northern Sudan, and then we've got South Sudan cut off. But then there's people in Northern Sudan who are Africans who might want to subscribe to being Arab. Now, even though we are aware there's Arabs and then there's Arab and African mix, but there's people who are pure African who might have an identity crisis and call themselves Arabs. And because this is they've oppressed our people.
That's correct.
Now, some people don't even like to speak on the Arab invasion into Africa. I spoke to some Nubians. I interviewed someone who's a biologist out there. He was an Egyptologist also.
Yeah.
When I interviewed him, he didn't mind speaking about the Greeks invading. He didn't mind speaking about the Romans. The minute I said also we've got the Arabs, he just went quiet. Now, there's various reasons why he's gone quiet. Number one, he's probably worried about the consequences. Number two,
Yeah.
Yeah. He's probably like sees them as the dominant force in Egypt. So he's kind of going with the winner, what they call whoever's ruling in power.
Is the winner, and all of that nonsense.
Yeah. So all of Libya, Algeria.
Want to try that?
You might see these people that they show you on the TV all the time, but
Yeah.
you will find these traces. Now, what they always try to say, if there is black people there, they'll tell you they were brought in as slaves. And this is the thing what we all can fall for, So it's about knowing which tribes were indigenous. You can know by the languages.
Indeed.
Now, when they have Arabic language imposed on them, then it starts becoming a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
You understand, my brother?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I can chip in there. There is a video you may have known about this guy. Speaking about the Arabic side of things, there is a black guy an Egyptian who was Arab. His name is Mustafa Henry. I don't know if you heard about him, Mustafa Henry.
Not heard of him, no.
And he did a program some time ago. I'm actually going to see if I've got more updates on him now, where he said it was when he got to America that he realized that he used to see himself as Arab black. He used to see himself. But when they started classifying him and they said, no, you cannot be Arab and black. You either have to be Arab or black.
Yeah.
And then he realized that, no, my dad is black like me. And, I that is who I am. You cannot separate that. I am African first. Then he started taking that on. I mean, I've got the video of him here. I don't know if and he spoke about that in such a way that it made me like, okay, this is exactly what we mean. This is an Arab man and a black man, with his hair. His hair is black. It's black hair. But people that looks like him, they'll say, I'm Arab. No, you are not. He said, my dad is black African, my mom is light skinned. And I've got a mixture of the two. So I am black African. In fact, what he said, I am black and Egyptian, not a Caucasian. Those are his words. Now, I am trying to, I try to tell a lot of Africans this. Of course, there are some Arabs that came into Africa and they've mixed with Africa. Now, they can choose to say they're Arabs, but you are African. When you are on the African continent, even though you may have mixture of other people in you, you are African. And you do not deny the people of Africa that right to state clearly that the land Africa. In fact, I'll add another word. I prefer our cable land because there is some discussion about the name Africa that it has some sort of general or something, and then there's another deeper meaning that we understand in horrific separation of the soul or something like that is the word it tends to mean in terms of translation from Greek into English. So there
Yeah.
is that issue that we're looking at, and that makes me want to think more Al-Kebulan. Al-Kebulan or Pangea. Al-Kebulan refers to garden. It means that it's a Garden of Eden. That's what it means.
Yeah.
And that is the
Mm.
Garden of Eden that is in the so-called Bible. But anyway, let's put that to one side.
Yeah.
Back to the issue of Arabs and taking over that land and saying that, oh, no, no, we brought you there as slaves. No, no. Sheikh Anta Diop has proved conclusively, without doubt, that the pharaohs that you see in the tombs, they are all black. The first 25 dynasties, unbroken dynasty, were African or Al-Kebulan. They were Kemites, black. And Kemet means to blacken. That's what Kemet means. So,
Yeah.
and the people from that area are Africans or Al-Kebulan. They are.
Yeah.
There's nothing European or Arabic about them. They are black people, and these are
That's right.
things that we need to say. And the desertation of Africa has been really been done because of the interference of all of these colonizers in Africa. And they
Yeah.
do not understand what they're doing when they're interfering in how we do things. And they're still doing it till today. Excavation of resources remorselessly without thinking. Our ancestors planned. They would rotate crops. Our ancestors devised that plan. They will plant this crop for 2 or 3 seasons, rotate it to something else, bring something else, and then go back to the other one. It gives the soil the time to breathe.
That's
Well,
right.
of course, the area that is called Sahara Desert was green. It was
Yeah.
green, and also another thing I would say is that the whole of the earth was one called Pangea. These are things that many people are not aware of. But
Now, where's what? If I could just say something, yeah. Now,
yes,
what the European has done, he wants you to believe the time of Pangea there was no humans on the planet. So
oh
this is
boy,
where, like, you see,
childhood thinking. Yes, go
the
ahead.
Western science. What's unfair is that Western science dominates all this discussion.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Where if you want to get the best of everybody, you
mm-hmm.
find the best of different people and different culture from different places in the
That's correct.
world,
That's correct.
and you come fairly, and you don't dominate. Nobody dominates. You have people bring their views. Now, see with Sheikh Anta Diop, for example,
Mm-hmm.
he's one of our greatest. Now, what we've got to understand with Diop as well
Yeah.
is what he was going to with this anthropology. He was already joining something that has already been put there.
Yeah.
So, example, like they speak about we come from this common ancestor with apes. So, for example, so they say then the Australopithecines,
Yeah.
something 7 million years ago that came from all sorts of things. We were originally in the water, and
Yeah.
then now it's quite funny how people are so for sure about this. Now I don't blame Diop for this, you see, because
Mm-hmm.
Diop obviously has came in and it's already been set up for them. So when he goes to France to study, that's what he went to, isn't it? He's going to join Western society, and Darwinism, Charles Darwin,
Yeah, exactly. Darwin and all of that
yeah.
nonsense with the lies of
So
theory of evolution, which is a
yeah,
falsehood.
so you're not going to be able to pass your degree
Mm-hmm.
under westernized university, their science, Western science. You're
Mm-hmm.
not going to pass
No.
if you don't take their so-called responsibility
Yeah.
of the evolution of the stages of humanity.
Mm-hmm.
So he did the best he could, because at least he did things like prove the ancient Egyptians were black,
Yeah.
prove North Africans, prove the original Arabs were before they got invaded as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we take the best out of Sheikh Anta Diop.
Absolutely.
And then
Absolutely.
when it comes to dealing with oral history,
Mm-hmm.
we go to the Yoruba,
Yeah.
we go to the Ijo, we go to
Yeah.
the Igbo, we go to the people of the Congo,
Yeah. The Dogon Empire
Ghana.
as well.
That's what we do. It's for us to get the rest of our answers.
I mean,
And you speak about language a lot.
He couldn't possibly cover all of it. I mean, he's done the
Yeah.
real key one, which is to prove the 25 dynasties up until the
Yeah,
20 before the invasion were
yeah.
all Africans. And
And we, even though we did have invasions during within these 25, but it wasn't the fact of when we say invasions, we talking about like where they wanted to shut the menu netta down basically.
yes,
So with like the
hmm
Greeks at least like well they came in and you have Coptic. So Coptic's the mixture of the menu netta and the Greek language.
okay, yes,
But the time the Romans come,
hmm.
they're shutting that down.
Mm.
So
Mm.
from that period of time is the most crucial.
Yeah, it is.
Don't get me wrong, we've had like serious times around the 6th century BC,
Hmm. Hmm.
600 BC.
Yeah.
We had the Assyrians.
Hmm.
Now, these Assyrians came from places like what we look at as Iraq now, places like
Yeah.
Mesopotamia.
Yeah.
And these were like the first actual white invasion, like
Hmm.
white.
Hmm.
But what it was with the Assyrians is what gave them the might was they came in with like steel swords.
Hmm.
We were still using bronze at the time.
Hmm.
Now we had the knowledge to, we were smelting iron, so we had the knowledge to be able
Look,
to use
look,
it.
in my
But
in Yoruba land,
domestic purposes, we used it for.
in Yoruba land, we were already working with iron. That's how come
Yes,
we were able to make those bronze faces. We were
yeah,
working for iron for eons. I grew up. I went to a place where they were using the old style way of smelting iron,
yeah,
using this blowing thing that was pressed on both sides, and I witnessed this. So this is part of my history. So when they
yeah,
try to tell you that Africa didn't know about iron or anything, they brought iron technology to us. No, you're talking nonsense. You're talking
yeah,
absolute nonsense, because I've experienced that. I've actually worked with people smelting iron, and I know how they did it using purely local technological advancement that has been,
mm,
and it hasn't changed much. It is still about melting that iron and then using it to shape it to what you want. That is basically what the iron is about. And
yeah,
knowing where they are and how to source it and to extract it and to move it and all of that. That is it. But to try and tell you, oh, they're trying to prove, oh, they were the ones to first do something. They weren't. No way. We
so
have to just blow that out of the water. When they talk
yeah,
about medical advancement, Africa was where they were doing the first brain surgery. They took. I've got a video. I can't find it. I had a video many years ago. The medicine man would take take the skull of a man off, treat the pain, the injury, put it back, and you saw it heal. This is in Africa.
aqua
Without any
brilliance.
books. But
Yeah,
they don't tell you all of this story. They want to tell you falsehoods. So I'm just saying that to tally into what you're saying
yeah,
about this perception issue that they're trying to bring in, and actually try and twist and tell our stories in different ways. Um,
yeah.
Certainly, for me, we are the beginning of everything. Whatever the Greeks learned, they learned from the Kemites, whatever.
Totally.
And the
Yeah,
idea that they keep calling us Egypt is a way for us to not connect back to what we are, Kemet. That
yeah,
is why they keep talking about Egypt. That's why they keep naming it Egypt. That's why they put the name Africa. And when they name something, they own it. Well, we have less than 1 minute to go. So
yeah. We
we
just
will we will
log back in.
we log back in.
With
Okay.
it. Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's fine. So what you're saying, you and I are saying is correct. We need to retell our own stories, and pull all of it together for it to make sense to every indigenous people from around the world. And that is what we aim to do, and we will continue to do so relentlessly, because there's so much lies that's been told that
Too much.
we have to uncover it. There we go. Okay, 1 second. We'll be back in a second. We're waiting for him to join. Just give me a minute. We are waiting for him to come back in, and we will join that broadcast as soon as he comes back in. So we are watching for that. But whilst we are doing that, oh my friend, oh jeez, man, I'm gonna just try and show you something in the meantime. So just bear with me. whilst we're waiting for him to come back. In 1 minute, we're going to log back in. So whilst you're watching this, I just want to keep you informed that we are still on it and we are following what's going on. But I just wanted to make sure that you are aware that we are indeed, we're going to log straight back in. So bear with me. You can hear my voice, and I know that I can see it on the dashboard of the controls here, and just give me 1 second. When I get the okay from him, I will go straight back into it. We start in 5 minutes, so that's fine. Whilst we're doing that, we'll have a bit of a interlude, and I can talk to you a little bit about things. Let's see how I can do this. There is possibly something that I want to do just now as we're talking through. I'm going to start off and then we'll switch. Probably better if I do that. Yes, I'm going to start off.
Recording in progress.
So
recording stopped.
What I'm trying to do is to continue the broadcast. Of course, we are with James Diboe, who is a specialist on indigenous people from around the world, making connections and going for explorations and talking to people and knowing our past history and bringing it to the present for us to be able to relate to as as people. For too long, like I said, many a time, our story has been told by those who do not know anything about us. And what he's doing is fantastic in that he's telling our story, we're telling our story from African perspective, which is what is needed. It is very much needed. So let us continue to support him. I'm just going to just check something as I'm doing this. I want to make sure that we are on the right page in terms of discussions. Let me just check that right quick. Okay, and then here. So yeah, we do want you to help us grow our platforms. Currently I'm streaming from the backup channel of Citizen AY because Facebook have actually blocked me for a week. I did try to show a video where there was a young child smoking, and I said that is wrong. It should not be happening, and those who are involved should be arrested. But they said no. Fair enough. That's fine. If that's how they see it, I'm not going to challenge it. I'm not surprised. If they looked at the context in which I said it, then it probably will make more sense. But obviously they haven't. But that's okay too. We're not going to change. We're not going to waste time with that. But what we'd like you to do for us is to subscribe to us on YouTube, help us grow our platform, and of course reach more people. We do need that support from you because it is really going to help us in growing our platform. Let me just go here and quickly make a change to the write-up. With 1 second, please. So I'm just trying to give a bit more context to what we're discussing. So we will be sharing this on other platforms. Like I said, we're currently blocked on YouTube on the main channel, but we are broadcasting from the from the backup channel. So we will go back in shortly. Let me quickly just do this. So bear with me. Okay, so we're just gonna do that now. Give me a minute, please. Okay, so we're gonna do that. It's an AY backup channel, so we can have that there, and of course you can join. I'll go and join him now. He's gonna come back on, paste, save. Okay, so now we're gonna join back in now, and then we can carry on with the discussion as we were. So we're gonna go back in. He's gonna leave and join. There you go. So I'll be back. You'll be seeing it, coming back in a very, very short while. So there we are. We are back again. So hopefully, there we go. So James, yeah, we're back. Yeah, let's go ahead.
Okay. So when I get on record,
yes,
we'll finish up what we were saying.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead.
Recording in progress.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so us telling our story
Mhm.
is, like you were saying before, it's so important for Africans to be able to tell the story. You know, I mean, like, for example, I would have liked to speak to Lazard on this topic as well, because where he is based in Mali,
Yes,
he would have had that's more closer to Arab entrance
that's
for
correct.
when they were
That's correct.
sweeping across North Africa,
Mm.
Mauritania,
Mm-hmm.
and Mauritania, they still had slaves legal up until 1981.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't understand this, man.
Let me
Honestly.
shock you. Right now, there's slavery going on in Congo. Right now,
Yeah,
there is slavery going on in Congo right now. There was a video that I came across, and the lady was talking about the fact that there is Congo because of the resources there. The West are not allowing the people to breathe. They are killing them. They are chasing them away, and they're taking away the resources and enslaving the people. And we need to expose this. So what
yeah.
you're saying is just to tie into what you're saying. It is very, very true that we have to tell our own story. And when you hear about slavery, and of course the Arabs they still consider us as their slaves, you know.
Yeah.
And we need to. This is why we need to challenge all of this nonsense and actually break it down. But yeah, I'll stop there. You carry on, please. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, so basically, you see, with the Europeans, if we see him any part of Africa, we recognize straight away who he is, and he's not indigenous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people get kidded that the Arabs are always there in North Africa. Yeah, this is the problem. Now, you see the Sahara Desert now.
Yes.
So when they're penetrating into the Sahara Desert, more so, desert dwelling,
Yes.
now they are the present African tribes,
That's correct.
indigenous in those deserts.
That's
Now,
exactly it.
now this is why it's important, like places like that closest to Sahara, like Niger,
Mm-hmm.
northern Niger,
Mm-hmm.
Mali,
Yes.
Chad,
Absolutely.
Mauritania. So these places, like, we don't get to really know too much about what goes on the desert,
No. No.
because it's not like a place in the desert where it's like, it's nomad land.
Yeah.
It's a lot of things are going on. You have the little hierarchies. I've watched these documentaries of them and that, and I've read a little bit about them.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as eyewitness accounts,
Yeah.
these people are so isolated where it's like they're in their own world, and like you don't even know what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
and with the Arabs, they're into raping a lot of our women.
Oh goodness me. Goodness
So
me. That's what they do. And they beat
yes,
our men. I've got a video
yeah,
where they tied up African men and they're
yeah,
beating them up. And the
yeah,
women and they tell them to sit on a chair and they're literally using sticks and stuff to beat them. And they beat them
yeah.
to such a when they then take take them off the chair. They uh, just thinking about it alone, I just get so I feel sick, I feel
Yeah.
angry, but this is why we do what we do. This is why we're saying that we're not going to allow these people to 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 be the ones telling us our stories. We cannot let them because the
And
damage
it's not
they've
a
done.
and it's not a case of what some people end up doing. Yeah, whether
Yeah,
they're Christian or they're Muslim.
there you go.
Sometimes they want to take sides of, should we be on the Arab side or the European side, where
Nonsense.
we need to be on the side of our people.
Thank you. Thank you.
It doesn't
That's
mean we have to
exactly
be
it.
enemies. It
No,
doesn't mean that we have to be enemies, but
no.
first of all, recognize your own people, whether you're a Christian, a
That's it.
Muslim,
That's
or
it.
other, a Hebrew. We all
Yeah.
want people,
Yeah.
so because sometimes I'll have discussions with people where I could speak about the Europeans, how they colonized and
Yeah.
enslaved.
Yes.
Now, I might get some African Christians say, "Well, what about the Arabs?" Okay, I'll come to them next as well. They
Exactly.
are they are guilty. They're
Exactly.
guilty as well. And then vice versa. If I speak to African Muslims, oh, the Christians, Islam entered peacefully into Africa. So we get you see, it's quite funny. Like
it is, isn't it?
it's a
It is.
funny
It
thing
just.
where I just rather not play into the sides. And what is our priority? Our priority is our people, indigenous Africans and Africans of the diaspora.
That's
What's going to make
exactly it.
Africa great again? How are we going to connect our people around the world, whether in the United States, the Caribbean, Europe,
Yeah.
or even the people out in the Fiji Islands who connect to African ancestry.
Indeed,
This is,
indeed.
I know, and then there's other African groups like in Southeast Asia, like I say, I go into the rainforest,
Yes.
pure black people.
Exactly.
They know about Africa.
Exactly.
And you look at things like the spirituality, you look at the nature of the people, and they're all connected. This is the same as where African people are, and we are the first. So these are the things. It's part of our nature of like just basically how we view the universe.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Now is
yeah,
sorry,
go on.
I was going to speak to you about the Yoruba because you're Yoruba.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
I mean, like I say, I've always gravitated towards the Yoruba, even though I'm an Ijo people.
Yes.
I'm not even going to use the word tribe.
Ijo and Yoruba are quite close by. You know that.
That's right.
There is a closeness between. And Ijo is part of, I believe, is part of the Benin Kingdom. In the olden, before the British came to dismantle it and take away 2 million pounds worth of tusks, elephant tusks, was taken away, along with 3,000 artifacts that is still in the museums today. Many people don't know these things. These are, I do extensive research. I'm not just, when I'm saying all of this, believe you me, I have done research that has opened my eyes to see this. And we need to be we have to recognize that that's what they've done. And another thing, when you hear the nation called Benin, Republic of Benin, that nation is known as Dahomey. Our ancestors call it Dahomey, the kingdom of Dahomey. But for us to forget, to make us forget where the British came and dismantled the kingdom of Benin, they put the name Benin on Dahomey so that we will be confused. If you start trying to look for your history, of course they failed. They failed.
Yeah, there's two Benins. Yeah, you got there's two Benins, isn't it? As well.
Exactly. That's what they try to do. So there's only one Benin, but they created another Benin somewhere else to make you not connect. And for the children, because if they are teaching the children that place is called Benin, you will just accept it as that. But people like you and me, we know when we start looking at the maps and we start looking at the history. No. Benin was part of the Benin Kingdom with 10,000 square miles of wall, the longest earthworks in the entire world, longer than the wall of China. But these are histories that people don't know. So I say all of these things because it is a fact. And they, privately, the colonials, they admit this privately, but they will never come out and admit it publicly. They always try and leave little comments here. Oh, it's the longest one. But to connect it and make the people who they stole from to know this and say, we are sorry. Here are the stuff we take. Every single thing. Oh, no. We can't do that. No. It's, and these are the things that we're really coming out to really dispel, So in the case of yourself now, we're talking about the concept of Yoruba culture and the God concept and on those things. These are all interrelated with how we are. We believe in our orishas. Our orishas are our deities. They are deities that have served the people. They've protected the people. The connection, we connect to to Olodumare through our deities. That is the connection.
Now, with Olodumare, very important.
Yes,
very important.
That is the number one.
That's the number one.
That's the one that they connect. That issue is the man, and that is why what they did when Owen Emmerich Vidal, the bishop designate of Sierra Leone, when he came in 1852 to the Sierra Leone and wrote first Bishop Adrai Crowder to write a lie. He told him, you write these words. You tell them that our issue is equates to their Satan, to make us turn away from our issue, which is the second to his second in command to Eledumare. He's the connection for us as people in our own areas in the kingdom. He's the go between the king, Eshu, and Eledumare, because our king is the second in command to the deities. Igbakeji Orisha, the head.
Mm.
You know, when you become a king, you are part of the gods. When our king passes away, we never say they die. They call him Obati Waja, which means he's gone to the great beyond, great to the next, you know, he's become a deity that we must worship. So this is how powerful. So they destroyed all of that. So I guess I'm hoping that this answers your question in a way.
Yeah.
The God concept that we have is through those deities that we worship. And those deities, I'm going to say to you, they have days of the week. On Monday, we have 4 days. And this is a good thing to actually break down a bit more now. And I'll show you the calendar. I think I have a calendar somewhere. I'm working on it. It's still not fully done, but it's almost there. But I will show you one section of it if I can. Let me show
Yeah,
you.
this is important what you're saying
Yeah.
anyway
Yeah.
about this, because the God concept,
Mm.
like when I speak to people of Abraham's religions and they demonize African
That's
spirituality,
correct. They have no
so
right to
they'll
do so.
say,
They have no right.
oh, there's only one God, but all these deities people were worshiping, they were worshiping evil forces
go.
and spirits
There
and
you go. So
the
what is
jinn and
more
all this
evil
one.
than somebody coming to my community and burning my people, cutting their private parts off and sticking it in their mouth, cutting the women's parts and
Yeah.
you know and sticking a pipe up, you know,
Sick things. Yeah.
These are so. Please, those people coming with that nonsense, spare me that nonsense. Spare me with that nonsense talk, because you have no say in what the damage you've done is quite enough. Thank you. I'd like you to just take a step back and go quietly in a corner and actually contemplate what you've done. You know, that's what I say to them. It's not even a discussion for me.
Well, there's an interesting one. Like, say, for example, when they speak on Jesus Christ. Now, it's okay for him to do all miracles. Like, for example, turn water to wine, walking on water, you know, raising the dead, and you know, isn't that voodoo?
Exactly.
You know, so
exactly.
But it's okay because he's the Son of God and this and
now,
yeah.
Indeed. So now, going back to what we were saying, I wanted to just even give. I'm going to quickly show you something to tell you how important this is, because this gives you an idea of our concept of God. I'm going to show you something on the screen. If I'm going to try and share screen with you, I will show you this. So if you can see that, I don't know if you can you see that? No, actually, you know what? Let me stop share.
Yeah.
Let me stop share for a second. I'm just quickly going to do this way. I think it's better if I do it on this side and then pull that back in. Oh, sorry. Give me a second. I'm just going to pull it back in. There we go. Okay, good. I think I've got that now. I'm happy with that. Then we will go back to the Zoom and share this now. Now we can share it, because I don't want you to have a blank screen when I'm talking. It doesn't show that. So let's do this. So we're going to go in here and we'll share that screen. Great. Okay. No. So now, what I'm showing you is the day of the week. And it is very current. Today is the 15th. Tomorrow is the beginning of a new Yoruba month. It's called Oshu Efa Odun, which is the 6th month of our year. You know, this is Efa Odun Alanu, the month of kindness. You know, this is what we do. Now, if you look at it, we have 4 days in a week, in Yoruba week. Ojo Batala.
4 days.
Yes, Obatala is one of the gods that's below the issue. Then we have the Ojo Orunmila Ifa. Now, Ifa is a divination, as you know. Ifa is when they through the Okpele to know. You can ask him questions and you are connecting with the God. The God speaks to us through Ifa. So it's very important. Orunmila and Ifa is very, very powerful deities that we need to worship as well. So those days of the week that we have, Ojo Ogun, God of iron, is another day that we worship. And then you have Ojo Shango, thunder, the deity of thunder. God of thunder. You know, so we have, you know, and you know, these are particular things that is connected to our to the deities and how we worship them. And through the worshiping of them, we get a connection to Olodumare. The Olodumare is the overall, but the first messenger below Olodumare is Eshu. So you can see our concept of the connection to the Most High, if you're going to say it that way, or Olodumare. We call it Olodumare. You know, we believe that
Yeah.
there are higher forces beyond us. That's in us, that's around us, and we connect through our through those gods that we worship in the days of the week. Now, you notice that it's 4 days we have in a week. That
Yeah.
means we have 7 weeks in a month. So 4 days a week,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
7 weeks in the month, 28 days in a month, giving us 13 calendar months. 13.
Okay.
So you can see now that the God concept and the worshiping of the gods in those days, there is a connection with how we do things. And it actually works with the cycle of the moon. You see that?
Yeah.
So this,
Yeah.
the concept of God ties in into the world around us. It helps us to make sense of what we see, feel, hear, and all of that. And it ties back to when we are worshiping them. It is one and whole. But if you look at Christianity, what do you have? You have 28 days here, 30 days there. It throws the cycle. And the women's cycle follows the month, the cycle of the moon. But of course, when you're following Christianity, it throws all of that out.
Yeah.
That is an alarm bell. Those of us who are in Islam and Christianity, that should be an alarm bell. Because when you are following the cycle of the earth, it actually helps settle. The women are able to actually do the things they need to do. They function far better. Forcing us to go into religions that does not tally with the cycle of the earth and the moon is actually throwing us out of sync, and it's causing so many distress within our own within our societies. And this is why I tell people the God concept is not just pray to something. This is our lived experience. This is how we connect and make sense of the things around us. Eshu is a protector. When you worship Eshu, and we do not do cannibalism, like they're saying, or cultism of using human blood. None of that. We worship in the way they tell us not to use to use blood. In the Christian faith, they use animals to worship. In Islamic faith, they use animals to worship. Guess what? They learned it from us. They learned this from us, using animals. And then they're now trying to turn around. They do the same thing, and they try and castigate us for doing what we, the people of this planet, taught them how to do. These are things that we
Exactly.
need to talk about. So
Yeah. Yeah. Very important. But
so
it is the contradiction.
there you go. So
The
now you
contradictions.
can now see the connection between the deities, the days of the week, and the cycle of the earth, and how all
So
of that fits together.
so 4 days in the week
That's
and
correct.
7 weeks in a month.
That's correct. Gives you
Wow.
28 days. So
Yeah.
we had 28 days, and this is the same calendar with the Dogon Empire. The Dogon Empire have 28 days in a week as well, in a month as well. The
Yeah.
Dogon, many African countries, African kingdoms, they were working with that cycle because they follow the cycle of the earth. But when you look at Christianity, it doesn't. It
Yeah.
falls
Go
down.
back to big screen. Go back to big screen.
Okay,
Hey,
can you see me now? Is it?
yes, because we're in little boxes. If you
Oh,
make the screen.
hang on.
Yeah.
Let me see. I thought you could see me big. Hang on, let me just check something.
No, yes, but small screens. Yeah.
Oh, okay. If you mean you and I? Okay, yeah.
Yeah. You man. Yeah.
So I'll come out of that. I wanted to just show that. So I'll stop share now, because I want you to just see that. Okay. So
Yeah.
now, so that alone. So you can now see the connection between our African deities, our days of the week, and how we worship, and how our economy functions, how our kingdoms functions. And it is all in sequence. Again, when people are going to grow and all of that, they go and do consulting. when is the best time to grow? What do you think of this? They will consult Ifa, and Ifa will say, okay, if you're going to do this, we think you should do it this time. And we're seeking guidance. It's a
Yeah.
two-way connection. Whereas Christianity is one way. No, and Islam is one. Christianity and Islam is one way. This is what the book says. You do not ask any questions. You follow what they said. You are not allowed to use your thinking yourself. You are only supposed
Yeah.
to follow what is in the book. Whereas Ifa allows you to ask questions, and they will suggest answers for you, give you answers, and you can ask more questions. And when you do that, and you will know this speaking the fact. If you go to another, if you get a reading from one Ifa priest, you go to another priest, and they will give you the same answer. This is exactly how powerful Ifa is, and it's
I
all part of
watch.
connection to
You know
our
what's
God created.
interesting as well?
Yes.
What's interesting?
Mm.
When you go on YouTube and there's this, you might, I'm not sure the exact name of the show,
Mm-hmm.
but there's a show where they have Africans on it,
Mm-hmm.
and so many, half of them are Christians, half of them are traditionalists,
Mm-hmm.
and it's the person who's the host. He's not an actual African. He, I've seen different ones. One was a Chinese person, another person was a European or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't see you don't. So this one, step forward if you agree with this. Step forward if you agree with this from both sides. So I'm watching them have discussions now. So I'm watching one of the African lady who was Christian, and she was saying about I think, yeah, the Igbo people. He was talking about the Igbos,
Mm-hmm.
how they would sacrifice.
Oh, you're talking about Mary Slessor. You're talking about Mary Slessor, right? Mary Slessor, when she said, "Oh, she's the one who stopped them from killing the twins and all of that."
Yeah, well, I think it's that one. But they were talking about when a king dies,
Mm-hmm.
you have to sacrifice somebody like to kill them. So it's people's versions, and they always like,
So
even like some people spoke about some of the Orishas or whatever they were
yes,
sacrificing, but it's difficult. I mean, there's different
in the
reasons for different things and
in
that, but
in
of course,
Europe,
sacrificing.
are they going to tell us that cannibalism doesn't take place? Are they going to tell us that the people are not killed? How about the women that, because they were practicing paganism, were burnt alive,
Yeah,
but nobody talks about that. But they want to
yeah,
put again. You see, they're trying to put a negative aspect on
definitely.
the people, and we
Yeah,
must not apologize. Why is it that the French have built the burnt down church? The what's it called again? Oh, what's that place called that got burnt down? It'll come to me now. Where they had the gargoyles, the church of something that got burnt down, and they had to build it all again. And on the pictures on the around that so-called church are dragons and demons and everything on there.
yeah,
That is part of who they are. They're not going to get rid of it.
yeah.
What right have they got to tell us or question us about how we do things? That is up to us to decide. And many of the stories they embellish, they tend to embellish a lot of our stories and tell lies about who we are. So I don't trust anything that comes from their mouth. I don't.
Exactly.
We need to
Yeah,
do our own research ourselves. And
yeah,
oftentimes when they go into communities, they bastardize the community and then
yeah.
make them turn on each other, and then they say, oh, look, that's what they're doing. Not knowing that they had gone in and actually instigated this, created it for them to be able to speak up and say, look how they are. But they are behind it. So we have to be very cautious about taking any of their stories. We take it with a big pinch of salt.
Very good at turning us against each other, though.
That's correct. That's what they're trying to do.
Very good at it.
And this is
It
why
seems to work all the time.
this is why we need to really we have got to do a lot of work, you and I and other places. I would encourage many of us to make sure we join TikTok, at least in the short term, because TikTok, there is a lot of Africans who are waking up, and we are making big connections on there all the time. And the discussion is around how we can make the connection stronger. From those of us who are in diaspora to those of us who are at home, to people who are from Brazil, from America, Cuba, even in Argentina, there are black people, but they don't tell you all of this stuff. In
Yeah.
Cuba, there are black people. You know, in
Yeah.
Venezuela, there are black people. These are things that they don't talk to you about. And these people know
Yeah.
their history. They haven't forgotten. Like you said, they know their history. When you go and speak to them, they tell you about their history of their ancestors, how they came to be that they've been sidelined. And many of them have so many horrible things have been done to them. You know,
A lot of terrible things,
even in
yeah, being done
Mexico,
to them.
even in
Yeah,
Mexico as well.
that's right.
So these are, like I tell you, we are everywhere. There is nowhere on this planet that we are not the beginning. Nowhere.
South
Nowhere.
America. One thing about like South America as well is how black people are treated there, really oppressed. America, it's a different type of oppression. You know, it's the same. It's all the same, but
Mhm.
South America is not like actually. They don't recognize the African peoples of these lands. So when they give statistics, for example, say Colombia, the amount of Africans are there. If you look at the censorships,
Yes.
Morty said that maybe you go back to 2005 or something like that. There's more people identifying as African
Yeah.
than there is around today. So that's that's a bit funny that because
Yeah.
you'd think as time goes on, more people, the population's grown. So, but what it is that because they've told so many bad things as Africa, and plus by them trying to identify with something different,
Yeah.
you know, whether it's for the employment purposes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whether it's a status thing,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, basically. So it's there. What's the word for it is? It's like almost being ashamed of
Yes.
who they are,
Yes. Yes.
you know. But this is being put on them, you know, to if you want to benefit survival purposes, I just call it.
Mm-hmm.
So for survival purposes,
Exactly.
people will
Exactly.
identify as something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Indeed. 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 And I mean, I'm looking at. I've just decided to do some checks now.
I mean, look at Brazil, like you said, you know, the amount of
They
Africans
come
that were
from
took to
they're
Brazil.
Africans. They're
Yeah,
Africans. And I think back in the when we had Pangea, the crossing between Brazil, what is known as Brazil, that was it fits into the part of Africa where is West Africa. It literally does. So you can
like a
see that the
jigsaw.
people are the same there, but they won't tell
Yeah,
you any of this stuff, you know.
no,
And we have to wake our people up and do that work as a media people and anthropologists, African anthropologists, trying to piece back the real facts, the real history, minus their so-called history. You know,
yeah,
we just have to tell the story of who we are and not allow lies be perpetuated and forced on us for us to believe in. And that's the worst kind of thing you can do to people is to erase their history and then tell them they are something that they are not, because they will be trying to be that thing forever till they leave this earth, you know. So
well, look, back to what I was saying
yes,
before.
yes,
When they
yes,
speak on Pangaea
yes,
and they say there was no humans here, this is another way where they can steer the anthropology
yes,
and archaeology. They
exactly,
can steer it away from us, because in reality, like if you look at it like
yeah,
and looking at nature, the purpose
yes,
of nature,
yeah,
it would make sense for the creator to put us on the landmass that's
yes,
all one.
yes,
So that way, when it does split up, we're going to end up in different places without even having to walk there.
yes,
You know, so
indeed, indeed, indeed.
but this kind of mentality doesn't fit into their logic, you know. So
No, no, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, they talk about how can a place exist and nothing is on it.
yeah,
Just think about that. It's impossible, you know. And the fact of the matter is that when you go and look at the history of Dinkish, 2 million years old, it's an African woman
yeah,
in Ethiopia. There's another body, a skull found in South Africa. These are the oldest skulls on the planet, you
that's
know,
right.
and they are African. They're as old as, if not close to the planet itself, you know. And there are places around the world that they find these things. Um, you start beginning to look at them and going, you know, how do we believe your stories? You know, how do we believe that this thing about, oh, you've always been here? And no, you're not. You know, the fact of the matter is that the the fact that when you do all this stuff, the history, even the pharaohs that they're looking at, they are far older than 600,000 years, far
Yeah,
older than
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So that tells you that they are trying to piece some old stories and bring to write themselves into the story. When they put a gap in, they put themselves in that gap. We've been here, and that's, but it's all falling. It's falling apart.
and they spoke on in their oldest religious text in the papyrus. They spoke on come from the beginning of the Nile, where
Mm-hmm.
God happy dwells in the foothills of the mountains of the moon, round Kilimanjaro, Uganda,
Mm-hmm.
the Congo.
Mm-hmm.
These areas, these Central African areas, and
Yeah.
worked their way up
Yes.
to where Egypt is. So this is the thing, you see, where they want you to believe that the Egyptians came from Asia or Eurasia,
Yeah.
So, but that's already been proven.
Yeah.
That's already been proven now.
Indeed.
And
Indeed.
Egypt, don't
Without a
get me
doubt.
wrong, it was probably the most overrun invasions
Yes, it
on
is.
the African
It
continent
was.
at
It
one
was.
time,
Yeah.
the most.
I mean, what they've done to us on that continent, we have to heal ourselves. We really do have to do a lot of work, and that's why I go back again to the point I said. TikTok is the platform where we are having direct discussions among ourselves. There's so many people, so many Africans are waking up. If you
Yeah,
and I think probably when I'm doing the next show that I'm going to do discussion, I'm going to invite you on there because I need people to
okay.
hear to reach a wider audience as well, so that we can begin to have these discussions among ourselves, and really the the perspective that you bring to the discussion in terms of the indigenous people across the whole planet is very important, because it is the way that you're piecing us back together to make that connection that many people don't even think is possible. I mean, when you talked
Yeah,
about the fact of the Fiji Islands, and where the people are talking about the fact that they came from Congo, and that
the
they came on the
Tanganyika.
ship, the
Yeah.
Tanganyika, and the
Mm.
four boats leaving. I've been trying to make some research on that. I'm still doing that, but like I said, there's a lot of work that
It's a lot of
it's
work,
a
you
lot
brother.
of
You're
work
right.
to do, but
Yeah.
we will try and do more, and at the same time, there are more things that we're uncovering at this all the
I
while.
think one thing that could definitely help us is someone who's a linguistic, because I was in Fiji. I've actually got a little video there, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll download and send it to you.
Okay,
There
yeah.
was an older person in the Fiji Islands
Mm-hmm.
I met, and I interviewed, but he wanted the interview in the dark. So
Okay.
basically, it was just one of them, like a lamp in the nighttime.
Yeah, he didn't want to be filmed with his face on.
Yeah, he didn't really want to be seen. So
Mm.
when he started saying about some words,
Mm-hmm.
you go through a few different words which are the same as some African languages.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, now when we see African languages, I mean, we've got a lot of languages.
Yes.
And
Yes. We do.
so he didn't actually say which one, but this is why we need a linguistic. I mean,
We have experts who are linguists, and what we'll do
we
is we'll
need
just
them.
call
We
them
need
up.
to
We
link
will
up with
call
them.
them up, and this is what we need to do. We should probably
Yeah,
be. I mean, James, I want to say this as well. All of us should start really looking at how we can bring together a platform that is purely African. We control it, we run
yeah,
it, we use it, and we monitor it ourselves, so that
yeah,
these people can stop. We can stop this nonsense of people keep canceling us, keep shutting us down, so that we never
yeah.
be able to. Every time they do that, they're actually stopping our progress. When we go so far, suddenly they cut it.
Like
So
the
and
Chinese
then
have TikTok, for example,
exactly. So
and they want to stop that, don't
there
they?
you go. So
But
they
they're too
realize
powerful. Yeah,
exactly. So they realize that TikTok is really making us connect in ways that they can't stop. Of
yeah,
course, they can stop that on Facebook. They can stop it on YouTube. They can stop it on Instagram. They can stop it
yeah.
on X Space. But TikTok, they can't. And the way we are able to talk and hear each other immediately, we're making direct connections. So we need to have that as something that must happen on our own platforms, on our own African platforms.
You think in order for us to achieve what you've just said,
Mm-hmm.
is this something that you think that we can just do independently,
Absolutely.
without, I mean, when I say independently, without our governments in Africa,
Yes.
or is it, or have we got to put the pressure on them to do
No,
it?
no, no, no. We can start off. You see, the thing is, you start something small. That is absolutely because we have to do a test case.
Yeah,
Once you do a test case and it runs and it functions at a small scale, all you are simply doing is scaling up. So we don't have to think about involving any government. In fact, the less of the government of the Western of African countries in, except for the government of the likes of Mali, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. We know now that those they want something that they can actually be part of. In fact, we should be
yeah,
looking at them as the people that we can partner with because we know exactly what they are about. They are about
yeah,
ensuring that African stories is told from an African perspective without any interference from the colonials. So
yeah,
that is what we'll be looking at. But I think one of the things I'm suggesting, I'm trying, and I'm going to be talking about it on other platforms as well, is this idea that we build something that we can use without interference from the from any other, from the
anybody, yeah,
anybody. We are in control of that. We will have the connections, or independent of what they already have in place. We have to have something that is totally independent, no connection. Because if there's any connection, it's like a backdoor to try and cause damage. So we need
yeah,
our own, but we need to start it small. Probably within, we can start it in diaspora, and then we do that and build over time. And the infrastructure will have to be entirely African infrastructure, because if we
yeah,
rely on anything on there, they will find a way to come in and then control it. And that's all they
control.
want. They
We don't
want to
need that.
control it. And we do not want to be controlled. We need our
Yeah,
own platforms without any interference. So yeah,
totally right.
yeah, yeah.
One question I want to speak out as well. You know, we have shamans, the shamans.
Yes, I've heard about them.
Now, what's interesting is because I like trying to meet these types of peoples, and
Mm-hmm.
these are very, very spiritual, very knowledgeable, the wisdom that they have.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people will try to refer to them as like the same with Abraham religion. They always like to refer to these people as, what's the word called they use? Oh,
Sorry,
um,
you mean the well when they
people, a negative word, people, sorcery.
yes,
That's the
yes,
word, yeah.
yes, yes,
They always
sorcery,
say
yes.
they're into sorcery, so they're bad, but but then you could look into their religions and search for little certain things
Mm-hmm.
yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and you're gonna like see something similar,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
copied anyway, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
in
yeah.
their version,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we just need to, like you say, we need to push for the independence. But it's the people. It's the people, like you say. It's not the government we need. We need the people.
We need the people to be. I mean, what I like about what's happening in Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali is the people are supporting the government and saying, yes, we do not want the Western powers on our land. They've done enough damage. And when the Western powers try to take the government out, they say no. They come out en masse and say no, we do, and they've even said they even got Ibrahim Traore they've got him to be their president for the next 5 years, because
Yeah,
they so much believe in what he's doing. He doesn't run. He doesn't drive around in flash cars. He doesn't. He's not interested. He buys tractors. He builds in infrastructures that they need for the economy to grow. That is what he's
yeah.
doing. So that man, he will be protected anywhere. Likewise, General Chani, he's protected. Asim Goita, likewise. So that's why you see them.
Recording stopped.
Oh, okay. We'll come back in a few minutes. Give me a minute. We will just wait for my brother to come back. He will send me a link. So we do another 5-10 minutes and then we'll wrap it up. Um, yes, my brother. Yes, go ahead. Yes. Yes, we're going to be back in a few minutes. So let me just get the screen back up. is doing the 50 minutes thing. I should have actually switched it over, but never mind. There we are. I hope you find it interesting. So I will be joining back.
Recording in progress.
Sorry about that. No, we don't want to do that.
Recording stopped.
So, I mean, I hope you're finding the discussion engaging and interesting. There's a lot more to talk about. We need to be thinking about on this platform and other platforms, having our own platforms where there will be no interference from other countries around the world, because they are trying to influence and shape what we think and say on our platforms, and we have to be totally independent. So we need our own independent structure that we can run. We can run our own platforms independent of any of those colonial powers, and be in control of what is said and how we say it, and allow our people to actually say how they feel and how they want to see things going forward. That is really important. So I wanted to just state that, and I hope people buy into that. It's very, very important. Let me see what I can do with this. I'll come back to that later. So where am I now? We are looking. I'll be joining James in a few minutes. We will wrap up on that, and then maybe I'll come back. I might do a broadcast tonight myself. I've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes, so you may not have seen me, but it is really important that we continue. Let me just do this quickly straight away. I'm really glad that our TikTok is doing well. We have 14,000 followers now on TikTok, and we will continue to come and do live broadcasts. I'm probably going to do a broadcast tomorrow morning. I was going to do one today, but the one thing or the other has made it difficult for me to do that. I've had a number of meetings in between today, 2 or 3 meetings, and sometimes I prefer to do it behind the scenes. But today, this is a discussion that has already been planned with James, and so we are doing that. But let me see what else I can do. Let me see what I can do here. I'm just checking things as we go along. We're grateful for the support from everybody as we're doing our programs. Please continue to support us. Share, like, donate to us. You're welcome to donate to us. You have the account number going across the screen there, and you have the Cash App. You have the and also the account numbers on there. Please, and PayPal is also on there, so you can help us by donating to us, because we do a lot of research, and we can do with a lot of support in being able to focus fully on the Africa project as a whole. We're talking about the constitution as well. I'll mention that briefly with James when he comes back shortly. Let us see what we do here. I'm going to try and go back in. I think it said, let me see. So we're going to try and do this now. I'm going to leave and join. Let me see if it's a new meeting. I'm hoping it's back. Okay, it's not back. Is it back? Not yet. Okay, don't worry. We're just testing it anyway. We're just testing it, and that's fine. It doesn't look like it's ready, so we will just keep waiting on that. Hang on, launch meeting. Okay, it's not back yet. So what I'll do is I'll come back out of that now and go back in as normal. So, okay. Leave meeting. So start this back up again because it's not ready yet. So I'll start this back up so you can hear me. I hope you've heard me.
Recording in progress.
So, no, we're not recording just yet.
Recording stopped.
So, yeah, so there's a lot of work to do, but we are bringing this to you to raise awareness and support in growing our platform. So we do need that support, and we are grateful. Let me see. So it's very important that we continue with the work that we're doing, and we appreciate you. Currently, of course, we're on the backup channel of Citizen AY, because currently we've been blocked on the main channel for a week or so. We'll be back then, but for now, we use the backup channel, and we try and share as much as we can on the backup channel as well. So we will be doing a lot of work on that, and hopefully we will grow things as we go along. Let me see what this is going to do, because it's very important what we're doing here as Africans. We must continue to wake up our people and continue to really get us to be, more impactful in what we're doing collectively. It's very, very important. I am grateful for your support. Let me see if I can share it on another platform. And please, of course, do share the broadcast as you're coming in. We do need that support. And donate to us and give gifts. We are really grateful for your support, you know. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that we're seeing, and we need to really, our people are waking up a lot. So many people are waking up, and we can and must indeed, make a change to things. Let's have a look at this. So we are doing a lot of what we can to make sure that people are aware of the positive energy that we all possess as Africans, and we are coming up with solving the problems rather than waiting for somebody to solve the problem for us. We can and must solve our own problems. Let me just see what happens. So stop. We're just going to try and see if we're back in again. Yes, we're back in again. Okay. So here we are. Okay, James, go ahead. Hi.
So we have finished our 15.
Yeah, 15. Yes. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Recording in progress.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Now, another thing I want to speak on as well is a writing system now of ancient West Africa.
Yes.
Very important, this one, and it's very underrated. And I believe it's a very anticipated discussion, which we don't really. Now, I'm aware of a lot of oral, everything kept orally. Now,
that's a falsehood right there.
Yeah. Now, I've looked at like West Africa now, and I've seen something, the Mandi script. Now, when we say Mandi, this is going to be related to Niger Congo languages. Then later on, you get Bantu, that's connected, and be spread all across sub-Saharan Africa. But concentrating on a script, because in order to have a script, you must have had some sort of the form of communication.
Yeah.
To be able to.
There you go.
So
I'm going to show
you
you
aware
something.
of anything like this?
I'm going to show you something. Have you heard about something called the Adinkra symbols?
Yeah. Is this in Nigeria?
No, this is in Ghana.
Oh, Ghana. Okay.
It's in West Africa. Don't forget, these lines they are drawn. Adinkra.
True. Yeah.
They can be all the way speaking the same kind of language and all of that across West Africa. There was movement and the kingdoms. So the Adinkra symbols. There was a king called King Adinkra. He designed the symbols. You see this love symbol that is used around the world.
Yeah.
He designed it and he drew it up on a calabash.
Yeah.
So when they tell you that we haven't got any writing, it's a straight lie.
Yeah.
It's a straight lie. Let me show you what I mean. So we have to really debunk everything that they're saying about us. We have to debunk it totally.
Because they take credit, like, say, for example, the times of Mansa Musa or Timbuktu, for example, they speak of it in a way that everything was Arabic. That's where the writing come in.
No,
and
it's not true. We have writing. We have African writing systems. I mean, I'll just, in fact, let me put that one up there. I want to just check up African writing systems.
And it's also what happened to them, though. Why aren't they being used?
Because they look like they stole many of our stuff.
Yeah.
There is a place in a museum in Italy. I forgot what it's called. A friend of mine actually went there. In there, we have the technology. We had what they're now doing as tablets. We had that and writing, African, but they stole and they took it away and they hide it from us.
Yeah.
These are facts. I mean,
because here's the problem. We get a lot of scholars, Now, we've not our own people, whether in the United States or certain other places, Europe, whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm talking about our people.
Yes.
Now, they always focus on Egypt. Egypt's got the documentation. Egypt's got the writing.
There's more.
There's a whole lot more than that.
Much more.
Much more. And this is the problem, because the way the Chinese are writing in Chinese, for example, to this day,
they try
Arabic.
They try to make it look like it's only Egypt that was writing. It's not true. I've just shown
Yeah,
you the Adinkra
yeah,
symbols. It is from Ghana, West Africa. It's between
yeah,
Ghana. The king was between Ghana and Ivory Coast, and they like to tell the story that he was killed and all of that. But interesting, we don't know the part the colonials played in doing that. And so I'm not very keen to use that narrative, because if you look at things, Queen Ashantewa, she fought them so much she wouldn't give up. They took her away to the Seychelles to go and to live, to take her away from our kingdom. That was the only way they could actually take the kingdom over. Then she took her to
yeah.
another island, and then until she died and died away from our home. These are, I mean, so we have to be very, very careful the kind of stories we accept from those who colonize Africa. We must tell our own stories. Um, Let me just show you that. I'll show you the other one that I've got, because now they're talking about the only writing
Yeah,
system we have is the hieroglyphics from
yeah.
Egypt, from Kemet, which is not the case. It is
It's
not
kind
the
of like
case.
we've replaced our greatness with a lot of Arabic
There you go.
and
And,
English, French.
that's why
You know,
that's what they've done.
yeah.
Incidentally, I have a project going on right now. I don't know. Can you see what I can see on the screen? Can you see anything? Can you see the letters that are on the Adekra symbols, or you can't?
Not yet,
Okay,
not yet.
let me do this way then. I was trying to put it in between you and I so you could see it, but you
Yeah,
have to be okay. I'll do it another way. No problem. I'll do it this way. Let me
this needs to
go.
come back.
Yes,
We need to revive this back.
we have. It has to be. It must come back. It has to come back. So share. So you see that love symbol there. That is the Akan. Let me. I'll go back again. Let me go back out. The love symbol that you see in the middle here. That
Okay,
was
okay, it's on
designed.
now.
That was designed by King Akran. So Adinkra appears on the same traditional Akan gold weights, carved
Yeah,
symbols for domestic and ritual use. Tourism has
yeah,
led to new departures of the use of the symbol. So when they do their so-called um, Valentine's Day, guess what? That's the symbol they use. That symbol
yeah.
comes from Africa. They haven't paid any rights for it. They have paid nobody a penny, but it's
Hmm.
being used. And
Yeah,
these are the realities of what we need to. That is what they've taken from Africa. But then they tell you we have no history. We have no history of writing. That
yeah.
is writing right there. Symbols is writing. When you
Now,
write a
see the
symbol,
eye. I'm just looking at the eye. We see this in Egypt.
yes,
The
you
eye.
see,
You can it's like that. Well, you can't see me pointing to it, but
yeah.
there's an eye on there. One eye.
Hang on, which one?
Next,
Wait,
keep going. Yeah, yeah. You're close to it now. Go down,
that one.
down a bit more. Now go across.
Yeah, that
Keep
one.
going.
That
Yeah,
one.
yeah,
Yeah. The eye, yeah, exactly. So I
yeah,
mean, it has significant meanings. All of them have meanings.
yeah,
Everything that you see, they have got meanings that they write about, and I have to try and to show it. And even now, you can see this is the man doing that symbol there. You see, they do it on cloth. You can see the man there. So this is
yeah,
something that is still alive, but they tell you, oh, they don't. Adinkra, I'll see Adinkra alphabet. But this is something they say in 2015, but we've had that way before. That is another way to try and tell us that we weren't able to write before 2015. That's nonsense. That's straight out nonsense. But we pick from this what we can. That's what because they try and mix the truth with lie.
yeah,
That we're not going to buy all that nonsense. In Yoruba Kingdom, we had writing systems as well in Oyo Empire, and I'm going to try and
yeah,
bring that up in the next time. I haven't got access to it right now. I have to
yeah,
do
yeah.
some
Maybe
research.
in the future,
Yeah.
but
So yeah,
these are very important things
it
because
is. It is.
because what it is because at the moment
Mm-hmm.
we're not writing in it. Like, don't get me wrong, there might be some secluded people like using this
You know
or
what they've done when you take away someone's history. Like I just told you now in the Italian museum, they stole our technology. There's a tablet that we were using in writing stuff
yeah,
on a wooden tablet. Came from Africa. They won't allow people who are going to the museum to take any pictures of this.
see,
Somebody
yeah,
that I know of told me this live on TikTok.
yeah,
And they were experienced, and they were told, they were searched before they went in. They were searched if to see if they were carrying any camera. Anything they had on them, they had to put at the door. go in and then come out. This is look. It's, what does
Yeah, well, like it's like in Egypt, the we're trying to let people take pictures of the tombs, well, not the tombs, the mummies,
yes?
because when you start taking pictures of them, some of them have got dreadlocks still there,
They don't
you
want you
know,
to have it.
very
So some of
African
them have got
features.
dreadlocks.
Yeah, I've seen them with dreadlocks, but they won't. I wanted to take some pictures,
They
but I
won't
just
let you
had
do
like
it.
you just follow, especially if you're black, they'll follow you around in there, you know. So,
Wow.
you know,
So they actually
yeah,
won't let you take. So they. So when you're black, they don't want you to take a picture of yourself to know your
yeah,
facts.
yeah. Me and cousin were in there. We're just getting followed, and then eyes are on us, and I'm dying to just take a picture of the. I tried to take one, but it was just a terrible picture, you know. So because when you're being watched, and that's
Of
difficult to
course.
be able to just
You
take a
should be
proper
able to
picture.
take a picture of your own.
Yeah,
This is your own ancestry. You see,
yeah,
that tells you those people don't deserve to be on that in that place when they are stopping you and I from taking
yeah,
pictures of their own ancestors because they know that we will know who we are, and that
yeah,
makes any of their lies, it dissolves it into nothing. Man,
totally.
man,
But
man.
this is the thing. It's like we have got a lot of work to do, but
Yeah.
ignorance ain't gonna help.
No, no,
You
it's not.
know, self-hate ain't gonna help.
No, no, no,
Self-love
no.
definitely
Exactly. That's
helps.
what
You know,
that's what we are preaching. And speaking um, um, before we go off air now, because I think time is about to be up soon. I think
yeah,
what I would really like to talk about is make sure that um, currently we're on a program now. We're translating. We've realized that the constitutions written for all African countries, they are imposed by the English or the French,
yeah,
and they are in those languages, and the people who are in the communities, they don't speak English or French. So when you tell them about the laws, they don't know that they have rights to hold the government to account, so they're not able to participate in their governance, and that oppresses them, and those puppets are able to take the money away. So we are trying
yeah,
to translate the constitutions in each of those countries, all 52 of them, to translate it into local languages so that the people in the communities can begin to participate in their own governance. Because if it was in their language, they would be able to do so. They will be able to question. But because it's
yeah,
been removed from them, it's kept us all impoverished, and the people who want to take our resources just come and take whatever they want above the heads of the people without their voice.
yeah.
I just talked about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe now, the government went and they've agreed. They were, well, I'm sure they were compelled to sell 20% of their land to the UAE to use to
Mm,
offset carbon the carbon usage that they've done, which is nonsense. And the voice of the people is not in that process. So right there, you see that we need to have the constitution in the local languages so the people can participate in the governance and they will put a stop to any of this before it even happens. So
one
that is
last,
something that we are really working on across the whole of
yeah,
Africa. We are aiming to do this. We'll start off in Nigeria first and roll it out across all African countries so that we can begin to change things. I am not
yeah,
interested in just talking about problems.
yeah,
We need solutions. And this is a solution to a problem that is impacting all of Africa. So that's something we're working on. I hope when we get more developed into things, I'm sure you have a role to play in suggestions and ideas. And
yeah. One
everybody,
last question.
yeah, go ahead.
I've just got one last question now,
Mm-hmm.
and this is on languages now.
Mm-hmm.
Do we need one common language in
Not yet.
Africa for everyone to
No, no,
speak?
no,
Now, when I
no.
say that, that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean abandon
Yeah,
all your
I
local
know what you mean. I
languages,
know what you mean.
but
You're like using making
for
one language
communication,
for communication purposes, like they do in Europe. In
yeah,
Europe, the three main languages that they use is Spanish, French, English. Now the
yeah,
Germans are trying to sort of get themselves in so that they can also add that. But that's yeah, I see what you're saying. But for us, all our languages matter because when
all
you
of them,
have
yeah,
people in that community, their voices must be heard. The
yeah,
minute you start denying that, then they are going to be denied things in terms of infrastructure.
yeah.
We have the evidence.
No,
So
keep the local languages.
that's
Everyone keeps the
correct.
languages,
That's correct.
but form into one languages. Now, if that was the case,
Mm.
I don't know which language we're going to choose, or we're
No, no.
going to choose
I
a
think
bit of everything.
it's going to be. In the olden days, our ancestors, when they went to market, they spoke different languages, and they could understand each other. And the market that was along the borders of the kingdom, they would speak multiple languages or a blend of two languages in there.
A blend
You
of
see
two.
what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Okay.
so that is something that we can do and look at. But we are far away. I wouldn't want to be thinking of having one language because it's naturally, again, what we need to do. We have to have our languages. The languages protects us in our communities because when you
Yeah.
are speaking different languages, guess what? Your community, when you see somebody trying to evade, you can speak to them without them knowing that you are alerting the community.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're speaking in a common language that you all know, they can pick that up. You see
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So there are benefits to really doing what we're saying now in terms of keeping the languages as they are, and encouraging it. And don't forget, we will of course, uh, largely we do not want the English or the French to be used on our continent.
Definitely
So
not. That won't be the languages.
what we will do, and we do not want Swahili because Swahili is Arabic. It is not African. Swahili is
What about this
Arabic.
discussion? Yeah,
So
about this
so
discussion, the
so
mixture.
so we
Yeah.
have to be very careful because some people were saying, look, we can
Yeah.
use Swahili. No, 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 no. It's Arabic.
Yeah.
We don't want Arabic. We
Yeah.
want
Well, it's a
Swahili.
mixture.
That is
It's not a pure African language. It's got
no.
some Bantu in there,
It's
and it's
yeah,
Arabic mixed. Yeah.
but that's the
But we
thing.
need pure.
We need pure because you see what it does is that it's enough for them to be able to get their way in and hear what you're
Yeah.
saying and influence you. We need
Definitely.
we need we need an African language that is actually something that we as Africans can key into with to the exclusion of others. Because when they're speaking Spanish and they're speaking French and they're speaking all that, a lot of people don't know it, and that is what is impacting us. That's why our resources are leaving our continent. But
Yeah.
if it's having our local languages spoken, and then maybe when we get more settled, maybe we can now looking at more common where you have common similarities in language. Maybe that can be a way to go to use that as a popular language in that area where there's like a dialect and in three or four different areas that can lend itself to having discussions around that. But let's not
Yeah.
do that just yet because the people need to know what is being said right now in their
Yeah.
language.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
very powerful. But I'm not ruling it out. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Mhm.
not ruling it out, but I think that's what we need to do.
Some in the future.
Yes,
Some in
exactly.
the future, anyway.
And it will be when the people are when we start getting the benefit of the resources and they can think in a much more wider way and overview of things, then we can probably look at that subject and people can more easily you know con- communicate and come to a workable place where the language that will be chosen in that area will be something that best meets the needs of all of the people collectively together to be able to interact. So yeah, but it's not a bad idea. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's just about the balance and timing is very important in my opinion. I think. So
Yeah, well, I give thanks for you, man, and
thank you,
I
thank you,
appreciate you coming on the show.
thank you, thank you
This
very
is
much.
James Diboe, Discovered, dedicated
Yes,
to original peoples
yes.
and
Thank you very much.
moving forward in life, and
Yes,
steps at a time.
it is.
And we've got a lot of steps to do.
Yes, exactly,
You know,
exactly,
you have to
exactly.
start with baby steps, and then we
Indeed,
take the bigger steps after
indeed,
that.
indeed, indeed.
But I give thanks, and if
Thank you.
anyone listen to AO, please subscribe to the channel.
Yeah,
Hash Citizens
yeah,
AY.
exactly. Thank you.
That's
And
it.
and please also subscribe to James Diboe. We need to get please we need a lot more subscriber to James Diboe. We need to he
Culturalism,
should be
James Diboe. Yeah,
culturation James Diboe. He
yeah.
needs to be he needs to have minimum of 3,000 subscribers. Please on YouTube. And also are you on TikTok by the way?
No, I
You
haven't
need
even
to
reached
get
that
on
yet.
there. You
Yeah,
need to get on there, and I'll bring you on board. Join, and we'll help promote that as well because you need
yeah.
that is where things are really kicking in terms of our awareness, and you need to reach a wider audience. Your content deserves a wider audience, in my opinion, and
There's a lot
we
of
need to
things
make
that,
sure.
like, I'm not on Twitter, I'm
Yes.
not on TikTok,
Yeah, I know.
so
But the thing is,
yeah,
the work that you've done, and you have a great catalog. You have a great catalog. No joke. I kid you not. I'm saying it
I give
because it
thanks
is.
for that.
You have a great catalog that people can key into and really learn from. And I think you should be able to. It is rightfully that you get rewards back for the hard work that you've invested your time and money and effort into. So please go
Yeah.
and subscribe to Contribution,
James Diboe.
James
Yeah.
Diboe. Please do so on YouTube and help grow that platform. I should be having at least 3,000 people, maybe more, 3,000 subscribers minimum. So when you're watching this, go ahead and subscribe to James Diboe on YouTube. And hopefully, when he gets his TikTok, we will bring him on here as well. And we'll be doing more shows together. We have a lot more to talk about. There's
Oh,
so
more
many
to
areas
come.
to talk about in terms of trade, for example. That's another market area we need to discuss about Africans. The fact that we're not able to trade among ourselves because of the restrictions placed on us by the colonials. That is having a huge impact on our development on the African continent. But we'll talk about that later on. But thank you
Uh,
so much. Thank you.
Give
Thank you.
thanks, my brother, and
Thank you.
we'll do this again.
Yes, we will do. Take care now.
Peace.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother.
Thanks. Bye now.
Peace, man.
Bye.
Bye.
So we're gonna
Recording
leave.
stop.
So we've ended that broadcast. I'm gonna go back in right quick and just do a quick wash up and close before we
Recording in
wrap up.
progress.
So I'm just gonna do that. So yes, I have been with James Diboe, Contribution. Go and support him. Subscribe to him on YouTube. We'll see if I can bring his link up and share that as well. But of course,
Recording stopped.
You're watching me on Citizen AY backup channel. Currently, the Citizen AY platform itself is under restriction on YouTube. That's okay for another, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or something, and then we'll be back to normal on that. But we'll be streaming on that on Citizen AY backup channel. In the meantime, subscribe to us there. Help us grow that platform as well. We need your support. And it's great that we have a lot of people supporting us and following what we're doing. And of course, we welcome donations. Help us grow the platform and reach more people. Please share, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, and we are truly grateful. This is an example of what we have on the African continent. There are Dinkra symbols. The key one of the famous ones is this one here, the love symbol, is used right around the world, and it comes from Africa. But many people did not connect it. It's time we don't know these things. It's on T-shirts. It's been sold for, used to sell many different things. It comes from Africa. We need to be very, very aware of that. Let me just quickly do something here before I go. Where is it? There is something I needed to do here. I hope I can find it. Okay. Here we go. That's it. I think I'll be back now. Are we back? Yeah. Okay. So there I am. Just to say something.